Here are the top stories for today, May 17, 2021. Improving numbers. The number of COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country has reached 2.9 million and expected to increase as more vaccine supplies are set to arrive soon. A call for help. The government calls for donations to help Philippine General Hospital as it faces a challenge in caring for patients due to a fire that razed some of its facilities over the weekend. No masks for fully vaccinated people? Not so fast, as the Department of Health says there is not enough proof yet that it is now safe for inoculated individuals to drop the use of face masks. And Mexico's Andrea Meza bags the crown of the 69th Miss Universe. Rabia Mateo makes the Philippines proud after making it to the pageant's top 21. Good day, I am William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. We begin with an update on the government's vaccination drive. Over 2.9 million COVID-19 vaccine doses have been administered in the Philippines. In a palace briefing, presidential spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque said these have been administered to over 2.2 million Filipinos, 714,000 of whom are now fully vaccinated. These include priority sectors such as medical frontliners, senior citizens, persons with comorbidities, and frontliners in essential services. Among those fully vaccinated include over 414,000 medical frontliners, almost 83,000 senior citizens, over 216,000 persons with comorbidities, and 192 other essential frontliners. The Philippines has so far received a total of over 7.7 million COVID-19 vaccine doses. Currently, the country ranks 136th in terms of the number of cases per 100,000 population. It also ranks 92nd in terms of case fatality rate. Malacanang is saddened after a fire hit the Philippine General Hospital in Manila early morning on Sunday. In a statement, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque thanked those who gave donations to the PGH, the country's largest COVID-19 referral center. He said this will be sent to the official fundraising groups of the state-run hospital. Reports from the Bureau of Fire Protection showed that the fire broke out past midnight on Sunday at the operating room on the third floor of PGH's Central Block building. The fire cost damages worth 300,000 pesos, while the cause of the fire is still under investigation. Currently, the PGH emergency room and some laboratory services were closed following the fire. No casualties or injuries were reported from the blaze. The hospital had to transfer several patients, including 12 newborn infants, to nearby district hospitals. Meantime, PGH is in need of ready-to-eat food, bottled water, bed linen, and pillows. The government is not keen on lifting its face mask policy even for people who have already been vaccinated against COVID-19. Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergeres said there is not enough evidence yet to prove it is now safe to remove face masks for inoculated individuals, as it may be possible for them to still get infected. The official said the public should not compare the Philippines to other nations like the United States that previously eased their face mask mandate, saying such countries already inoculated a large portion of their population. She stressed that it would need more evidence to say that the removal of face masks for the vaccinated population is safe. Meanwhile, Senator Richard Gordon proposed to the Department of Health to include family and household members of healthcare and economic frontliners on its COVID-19 vaccination priority list. The Philippine Red Cross Chairman and Chief Executive Officer said this is to prevent a household from being exposed to and infected with COVID-19. He also stressed the need to uplift the dignity of frontliners who work against COVID-19 to provide for their families and serve the country. Depending on available supplies, the A4 group or frontliners in other essential sectors may be vaccinated by the month of June. Senator Richard Gordon appealed to the government to take immediate measures to fast-track COVID-19 vaccination. The chairman and CEO of the Philippine Red Cross expressed concern about the prospect of 1.5 million AstraZeneca vaccines expiring in June. Gordon said the government must simplify the procedure of vaccination to encourage more people to get vaccinated. While he understands the DOH's protocol of subjecting vaccinees to pre-screening to preclude any possible side effects, he encouraged the government to just provide post-vaccination care. He said the Philippine Red Cross has chapters all over the country that can mobilize volunteers to vaccinate as many people as they can. He said the PRC is also a partner of the government under the Bayanihan Act. The Department of Health has reported 10 more cases of the B1617 SARS-CoV-2 variant of COVID-19 from India, bringing the total in the Philippines to 12. Among the 10 cases, one is a seafarer who came from Belgium and arrived last April 24. The other 9 cases were from the 12 COVID-19 positive Filipino crew of MV Athens Bridge. 4 of them are still admitted at a hospital in Manila and are currently in stable condition, while the other 5 are in an isolation facility. Earlier, 2 overseas Filipino workers from Oman and UAE were found positive for the B1617 variant. The DOH also detected 13 more B117 or United Kingdom variant cases, 7 B1351 or South Africa variant cases, and 1 P3 or Philippines variant case from the 37 samples sequenced last May 14. Meanwhile, the Department of Foreign Affairs reports over 11,000 overseas Filipinos who survived COVID-19. Out of a total of 18,607 cases, there were 6,076 active cases, 1,162 fatalities, and 20 recoveries. The DFA said COVID-19 recoveries and fatalities decreased slightly to 61% and 6.24% respectively. Meanwhile, those under treatment increased to 32.6%. The ongoing COVID-19 lockdown in India's New Delhi has been extended by a week until May 24. Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal on Sunday said COVID-19 cases are showing a downward trend in Delhi and people were recovering from the infection. Kejriwal said this is to ensure that they could sustain the gains achieved in the past days. The national capital has been under lockdown to contain the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic since April 19. About 3.11 million new COVID-19 cases and 4,077 related deaths were registered in the past 24 hours across the country. India is witnessing a resurgence in COVID-19 cases, and the second wave of the pandemic has caused a shortage of oxygen and essential medicines in the country's hospitals. Here is the latest look at COVID-19 figures worldwide. Still to come, Davao City rolls out Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines. And the PNP is keeping a tight watch on marijuana farms in condo units. Details ahead. This is the PNA Newsroom.
Alamin kung paano ang tamang pagsusuot ng surgical mask. Una, hawakan ang mask sa strap at siguruhing natatakpan nito ang inyong bibig at ilong. Tandaan, ang may kulay na bahagi ng mask ang dapat nasa labas. Ito lamang ang tamang paraan ng pagsuot nito. Ihulma ang nose piece o maliit na metallic strip ayon sa hugis ng inyong ilong. Iwasan ang paghawak sa inyong ilong at bibig. Kung marumi na ang mask, hubarin ito gamit ang strap at itapon ito sa isang basurahan. Siguruhin ang maayos na paghuhugas ng kamay gamit ang sabon at tubig. Ang surgical mask ay dapat gamitin ng mga pasyenteng may sakit sa baga o mga taong mayroong ubo, sipon at lagnat, mga nag-aalaga sa mga may sakit, at mga healthcare at frontline workers. Maaari ring magsuot nito kung kayo ay pupunta sa matataong lugar. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa. Kaya natin to! Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
About 300 persons were inoculated today against COVID-19 with the first doses of Pfizer-BioNTech delivered to Davao City. The 300 recipients in the symbolic vaccination held at the Southern Philippines Medical Center consisted of senior citizens and patients with renal problems. SPMC Chief of Hospitals Dr. Ricardo Audan said hospital employees and referrals from government agencies were also vaccinated. The vaccination was held inside the SPMC molecular laboratory due to the sensitivity of the Pfizer vaccine to high temperatures. At least 29,250 doses of Pfizer were delivered to Davao City on May 11. Philippine National Police Chief General Guillermo Eleazar ordered an investigation into whether drug syndicates have shifted their operations to cultivating marijuana plants in condominiums. This after police discovered and seized marijuana plants worth some 2.2 million pesos inside a condominium unit from a retired U.S. Air Force serviceman and his Filipina live-in partner in Taguig City on Thursday. Eleazar quoted Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency Director General Wilkins Villanueva, saying Shabu users have shifted to marijuana and even ecstasy as demand increased due to intensified police operations. He said the PNP will investigate if the retired U.S. airman and his Filipina partner are connected to other drug syndicates. Eleazar vowed to further strengthen the PNP's partnership and coordination with the PDEA to stop the spread of marijuana and other illegal drugs. Surigao del Norte may be placed under modified enhanced community quarantine should the rise in its COVID-19 cases continue. Governor Francisco Matugas expressed alarm over the continued increase in COVID-19 cases in the province in recent weeks. Matugas warned that if COVID-19 cases continue to rise within 1 week, he would be constrained to place the entire province under MECQ. He reminded residents and visitors of Surigao del Norte to adhere to existing health protocols. As of Saturday, the Department of Health in Caraga reported 11 new infections in Surigao del Norte and 20 in Surigao City. Surigao del Norte has a total of 835 COVID-19 cases since the pandemic began last year, with Surigao City registering 634 cases. The League of Cities of the Philippines thanked the Interagency Task Force for tagging local chief executives as priorities in the country's vaccination program against COVID-19. More on this and other news from the provinces from Laid Cabagani.
The League of Cities of the Philippines lauded the inclusion of local chief executives in the E1 priority group along with workers in frontline health services for vaccination against COVID-19. National President Bacolod City Mayor Evelio Leonardia, who took his first dose of AstraZeneca on April 17, has been visiting vaccination centers and organizing a week-long vaccination operation in the city. The LCP said this drives the point on the critical roles of LCEs in getting the trust of their constituents to get vaccinated. The LCP has committed to reciprocate the trust and confidence of the IATF to city mayors with more active and responsive vaccination efforts in their respective localities. In Bacolod City, some 24 vaccination centers are rolling out the recently delivered AstraZeneca COVID-19 jabs from May 14 to 21. The city government said that 22 vaccination hubs in various barangays and schools will mostly open from May 17 to 21 to inoculate individuals from 3 priority sectors. The 2 other centers are based in shopping malls including SM City Bacolod and Ayala Malls Capital Central. Mayor Evelio Leonardia said the city government aims to inoculate as many Bacolodnons as possible. A total of 6,900 doses of AstraZeneca vaccines have been allocated for the 22 vaccination centers in the villages and the clusters. In Legazpi City, at least 125 officials of the Sangguniang Kabataan are undergoing training every weekend of the month on how to cope and recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. The Youth Resilience and Recovers on COVID-19 Pandemic training is aimed at imparting to the young leaders first-hand information about the health protocols that would prevent the COVID-19 from spreading when properly observed. The Legazpi City Health Office prodded the SK officials to help effectively implement the health and safety protocols in their respective villages. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Lid Cabagan.
In our business news, fintech startup Mint wishes to empower more Filipinos, especially the micro, small, and medium enterprises and overseas workers by using the GCash app for digital transactions. Mint Chief Executive Officer Martha Sazon acknowledged that the demand for digital payments and transactions has increased during the pandemic. To cope with the demand, the firm has been working on expanding the capabilities of the app beyond being an e-wallet. Sari-sari store owners may offer digital financial services since there would be lesser time to go to remittance centers. OFWs could also send remittances to their families simply by using the app. Mint wants to redefine the app's role among the MSMEs and targets to launch new tools for them every quarter. Mint is also eyeing to enable OFWs to pay their bills back home, invest, and access other local services such as buying groceries for their families. Up next, a Mexican software engineer is the new Miss Universe. Our very own Rabia Mateo, meanwhile, makes it to the top 21. And as restrictions are slightly eased, 2 Intramuros attractions open in a bid to revive local tourism amid the pandemic. Back after a quick break, stay with the PNA Newsroom.
Alamin ang tamang paraan ng pag-ubo upang mapigilan ang paglaganap ng Coronavirus Disease 2019. Ugaliing magdala ng panyo o tissue. Kung uubo o babahing, takpan ang buong ilong at bibig gamit ang panyo o tissue. Kung walang dalang panyo o tissue, maaaring gamitin ang braso na pantakip. Kung nakararamdam na kailangan umubo o bumahing, agad na dumistansya sa mga tao sa paligid. Huwag dumura kung saan-saan, gumamit ng tissue at itapon sa basurahan. Ugaliin ang paghuhugas ng kamay at paggamit ng alcohol o hand sanitizer upang mamatay ang mikrobyo. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to! Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
You're still watching the PNA Newsroom. And it's the most beautiful day in the universe again as the 69th Miss Universe was held amid the COVID-19 pandemic. At the end of the pageant, software engineer Andrea Meza of Mexico bagged the much-coveted crown. Meza bested 73 other women at the pageant's coronation at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Florida, USA on Sunday evening local time. Other bets who made it to the top 5 are Julia Gama of Brazil, Janik del Castillo of Peru, Adeline Castellino of India, and Kimberly Jimenez of Dominican Republic. Responding on how she would handle COVID-19 as a leader of her country, Meza said she would impose a lockdown before everything became big and that she would have taken care of her people from the beginning. Our very own Rabia Mateo, meanwhile, made it to the top 21 roster of semi-finalists. Despite failing to enter the top 10, Rabia exuded with confidence as she walked down the stage in her yellow swimsuit. In her video during the semi-final round, Mateo emphasized the importance of education for the youth. The Philippine Identification System, or PHILSYS, received overwhelming support for its Step 1 online registration program despite the technical issues that marred its pilot implementation on April 30. The Philippine Statistics Authority said while there were those who did not understand the problems the system faced on its first day of operation, there are registrants who understood the glitches. The PSA asked for more patience as it continues to make improvements in the PHILSYS website to accommodate more registrants and make the experience easier. Step 1 registration started in October last year, reaching more than 34 million as of last count. About 6.4 million have already completed Step 2 or registration of biometric data. The last step is the issuance of the Phil ID with a PHILSYS number, which will serve as a permanent identification number. The PSA delivered 956 Phil ID cards via Philippine Post on the first week of May. Staycation and point-to-point or P2P travel for leisure will be allowed in areas under General Community Quarantine or GCQ, including Metro Manila, Bulacan, Rizal, Laguna, and Cavite, or the NCR Plus bubble. The Interagency Task Force authorized the implementation of the Department of Tourism's specialized markets, subject to observance of minimum public health standards. P2P air travel from NCR Plus to a resort in places under GCQ or modified GCQ is allowed so long as it is via a chartered flight. Only accommodation establishments that have a certificate of authority to operate for P2P may accept guests from NCR Plus. Meanwhile, staycation for guests 18 years of age to 65 years is only allowed in NCR Plus hotels that have a certificate of authority to operate for staycation. The IATF also permitted outdoor tourist attractions to open at 30% capacity. Indoor dine-in services can also operate at 20% capacity, while outdoor or alfresco dining can open at 50%. Here's something to look forward to if you want to go on a leisure trip this weekend. The historic walled city of Intramuros opened two of its most popular sites to visitors starting today, May 17. Fort Santiago will be open daily from 9 a.m. with last entry for visitors at 6:30 p.m. The Baluarte de San Diego Garden will be open to the general public from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Guests must undergo a mandatory screening of temperature and symptoms and sanitizing practices. They must register their visit through a QR code system or contact tracing prior to entry. Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat said the reopening of Fort Santiago and Baluarte San Diego will allow visitors to again experience the world's leading tourist attraction as recognized by the prestigious World Tourism Awards. Here's another look at today's biggest stories. Improving numbers. The number of COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country has reached 2.9 million and expected to increase as more vaccine supplies are set to arrive soon. A call for help. The government calls for donations to help Philippine General Hospital as it faces a challenge in caring for patients due to a fire that razed some of its facilities over the weekend. No masks for fully vaccinated people? Not so fast, as the Department of Health says there is not enough proof yet that it is now safe for inoculated individuals to drop the use of face masks. And Mexico's Andrea Meza bags the crown of the 69th Miss Universe. Rabia Mateo makes the Philippines proud after making it to the pageant's top 21. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check more news content, visit our webpage or head onto the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, we tell stories that inspire change. I am William Theo. Good day, everyone.